Welcome to the Strategy, Sales and Systems podcast. I'm Dani Louise Smith, business consultant, mentor, and the queen of business organisation. And this podcast is for service-based business owners who want to make consistent income without burning themselves out, which means we've got the perfect guest today joining us. And we're talking about why structure beats hustle in the modern business. So, Paul, before we get talking, do you want to introduce who you are, what you do, and tell everybody about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Dani, for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm Paul Culshaw, and I specialise in something that I call calm marketing. I'm sure we'll get on to speak about calm marketing as well. But it's very much about helping highly attuned entrepreneurs, so ADHDers, HSPs, sensitive people, overthinkers, who get pretty burnt out by doing too much content all the time and the noise from social media. So it's about helping those people not only how to run a business, but how to run it in a sustainable way that meets their energy.
And I'm assuming anyone who knows me who's watching will understand why this aligns perfectly, because that is definitely what I'm all about, and you've literally just described me as well.
Well, we're probably much for each other. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we complement each other nicely, I believe. I actually have got a question that I don't think I ever asked you before. What was it that brought you into focusing on this specifically?
Sure, absolutely. So it came from lived experience, really. There's a few angles on this. So I have a brand, a sub-brand called Fuzzled. And on Fuzzled, that's my podcast as well, and it started out as being just like functional marketing advice in terms of going from confusion to clarity. That's the transformation I provide. So people are confused about online marketing, and I've got quite a bit of experience. I've worked in online marketing for about 25 years or so now. So I thought I could help out there and make it more understandable. So that's what Fuzzled was, but it was I didn't really have a defined audience behind me there who I was targeting, and as you know, that's really important to have, to niche down and talk to particular people. And it wasn't until I spoke to a friend of mine who's been a friend of mine for about 30 years, and she gained a diagnosis in terms of ADHD. And she said she got lots of answers from it. She could really understand her behaviour and why she did things like she did, which was great. But it was also a bit of a light bulb moment for me in terms of why do we get on so well, over such a long time. And that's because I have a personality type called INFJ, or advocate personality type. And that's a really kind of rare personality type. But it's basically, I believe it's the perfect counterweight to people who have ADHD or people who get burnt out from online hustle behaviour, because INFJs like me are calm, full of calmness, patience. You can hear my voice, I'm softly spoken, I kind of take things in my stride. So I thought, absolutely, those are the types of people I should be helping, or I can help the best. So that's where it came from, the idea in terms of helping what I call highly attuned entrepreneurs. And I think there's also a bit of that in me as well, in terms of being slightly sensitive as well, being creative, being a deep thinker, being a bit slower in the way I do things. So 80 DMs every day, I couldn't do it. I couldn't work in a sales team like that. It doesn't match my personality. So I think that's why it comes from lived experience, because what I teach and the way I do things is the way I do things, and that's what I teach as well. So it kind of complements each other.
I love that. It's always interesting learning new things about the people that are in your network, because I never have asked, actually. It's so interesting to know that part of it, to be honest, and I can see how that has linked to, that links to everything you do now. And I think knowing myself, and actually your energy is quite calm, and I think that's quite easy to work with for someone who, I don't have calm energy at all. And so I think that does, I find people like yourself, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you find this, because my husband's a bit like you as well. He's quite calm. To be fair, he can be quite highly attuned and quite energetic as well. However, he grounds someone like me. So do you find that you can be quite grounding for your clients?
Yeah, I find that, and I probably had some clues on that a few years ago before I kind of changed my proposition in terms of working with highly attuned entrepreneurs. I gained early reviews from like female entrepreneurs who said I felt supported and cared for, which I thought was
Yeah.
really nice at the time. And I was looking at other coaches and strategists online, and no one really said anything like that about them. It was more about I love the accelerator. My business has moved on so much. Of course, I help people do that as well, but it's more of the human side, I think, that people appreciated in terms of Paul just took his time with me, met me where I was at as well, and it was a lot easier to work in that type of rhythm with myself.
Yeah, I like that. It's so interesting. Do you find as well, like, well, how should I rephrase the word? How do you find like bringing structure in order to beat hustle? Because I think sometimes people have a perception of what structure is. Like, I know when I talk about structure, a lot of the
Yeah.
times it can scare people off because they think it's rigid, they think that there's no flexibility. Actually, it can be the opposite, can't it? So I'm interested to hear your take on that.
So in terms of bringing structure in, I think for me, it came from my corporate background. So I worked in the corporate world and agency world here in Manchester for, as I say, about 25 years or so some time. And I became a bit corporified, if that's a word. But a good thing about that is that big corporates are built on structure. There were small businesses
Yeah.
at first, but they're built on infrastructure and processes, which really work. And I think that was something that small businesses or entrepreneurs, when you're first starting out, especially if you haven't got a corporate background, I think you miss out on having that structure in the business. All businesses need some structure and processes and systems to work. So that was another kind of point behind why I put a lot of my effort and a lot of my narrative behind structure as well, because I think that's what all businesses need, whatever size you are. And that, as I say, that's what smaller businesses and solopreneurs were missing. So I found on social media, and a lot of people do just social media marketing, I find that from the courses that I did when I first started my business as well, I found it's very social media centric. A
Yeah.
lot of the teaching was around doing DMs, which absolutely is part of it, but a lot of the teaching was about just doing DMs, doing some social media messaging and then picking up the conversation in the DMs and trying to do, 40 to 60 DMs every day. And I found that really tiring or exhausting. It didn't
Yeah.
fit. It didn't fit my own internal wiring or ways of doing things. To be honest, it might have been good for the people, the coaches who were teaching that way of doing business, and it just worked for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And when I say everyone, it doesn't work for highly attuned people, because we only have so much energy in our day, don't we? And I
Yeah.
find when you're working in a system where you're hustling, I guess, it burns you out. Yeah, because it's not
Yeah.
matched to
It
the way
does.
that you work. So I have a concept called your energy ceiling. So it's about working above your energy ceiling. When you do so much hustle all the time and you're creating content and people are saying you need to be posting more all the time, you need to be more visible all the time. Yeah, it doesn't work for everyone, that, because if you do that too much, you burn out because you're working above your energy system, your energy
Yeah.
ceiling. Sorry. So it's about really focusing on just a few tasks which are sustainable for you. So I think the first thing I say to people when I work with them is just to think about what is your energy ceiling? How much can you handle every day, every week? And then we can design a weekly rhythm or system around that.
I love that thought around energy ceiling, and I have a little story around that because
Yep.
I was always taught. Well, to be fair, when I first started my business, I did the very first business like no training. I did really well, um, but then I started investing in coaches, and I started being taught, to get in the DMs and have all these conversations, and I did it really well. However, at the time, I was running a keepsakes business, which was my first one. I was running networking events. I had children. I had my husband, who at the time was up and down because it's when his health started to take a turn for the worst physically. And then I was working part-time as well. So chaos, absolute chaos. I had no idea I had ADHD. Now it makes sense why I did everything at once. But basically, I was the person that would be DMing people like a lot every single day. And it used to work, and it worked really well because I was using pockets of time, like the commute to work, because I was on a bus. So I'd send the messages on the way there, and then when I finished my shift, I'd respond on the way home, which was fine because I could easily manage when I accept those messages, when I respond. But versus now, where I don't have those time restrictions because I have more freedom in my life, because I literally just run my businesses alongside obviously still having the kids and the husband. But that flexibility now, it can be a lot harder to deal with, and I can imagine a lot of your clients are very similar in the way that they can go do the task, but what they get back can be hard to manage. In fact, for me, I'd procrastinate on doing the task because I know the result would be all those responses back, especially if you're sending, like you say, 40, 50 messages.
Yes. Yeah, it holds you back, doesn't it? Because you know what's going to happen. If you take that action, you know you're going to get busier. And if you probably, it's probably based on past experiences as well, a lot of this, in terms of when I've accepted X, Y, and Z, I've become a lot busier. And when I've become a lot busier, I've got really burnt out. And then, you know, my focus dips and my consistency goes in the business. So you can start to be a bit wary of certain actions sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's that's about life, isn't it? Life happens.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I forgot to add that in. When I was doing it, it was working well. However, was it really? Because what would happen to me is I was doing that Monday to Friday, doing my shifts at work, in between like school runs, working the business, doing the messaging. But then come Saturday and Sunday, like I had no capacity for anything else. So what actually was happening where I was falling asleep on the couch, I was crashing, and I believe because I, like you've put in your words, I'd hit my energy ceiling, so I had nothing left to give to anyone or to myself, which looking back is quite sad because we want to use that time for our family, for ourselves, for exploring. I'm a big on loads of different hobbies. I've got loads, and I think a lot of people also do that, and it's quite sad because that's not what freedom looks like to me. And I mean, I'm glad I've changed it. How do you find them when you're putting structure in for people? How do you find managing to do it without creating hustle? Because I think sometimes when people have structure in place, they think it means hustling, working hard. Because we all have this narrative, don't we? Work hard so that you can. Well, not work hard, play hard. Work hard, do well, you know, push for more. I'd love to know your thoughts around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, there is some work to do initially, in terms of setting up a system, or setting up a structure. There's work to do, but it's just a one-off. It's a one-off that we do. So. It's basically, it centers around what's called an anchor task, my system. Yeah, it's an anchor task. So you center your whole week around this one anchor task. And that one anchor task, because we're dealing with online businesses here and with online, it's pretty much about content all the time, isn't it? The anchor task is about a content creation task. So for example, I'll talk you through my week, because this is the way I do things as well. And as I say, what I do is the way I teach and mentor people as well, to manage not being drained of your energy. So I have an anchor task on a Monday morning to create a blog post. Yeah, so I have a blog. I like writing, and it's called the Fuzzled blog. Have a look at it. And that's my main piece of content, though. Yeah, so I've got all of the topics which I'm going to talk about, based on my content pillars. I don't want to get too technical here or do too much live coaching. I think you know what I mean when we talk about content pillars.
I think I'm hoping that people listening would know. Yeah.
Well, your content pillars are basically like 4 main things which you want to talk about online. So from those content pillars, I will take one of the topics which I'm going to talk about this week. Yeah, so I might talk about structure beats hustle, for example. Yeah, there's lots of things I could talk about around that. So I will write a blog post first of all on the Monday morning and publish it on my blog. Yeah, and then I will repurpose the blog post into a podcast script from a Fuzzled podcast. So it remains on topic. So this is really good for the week in terms of consistency of messaging as well, or consistency of your narrative. So now I've got my blog post and I've got my podcast script as well. I'll record the podcast episode on the Tuesday morning now. And then on the Wednesday, I will look at my my topic for the week, which I've written about, done a podcast about, and I will create a number of social media posts as well around the same topic. And some of those social media posts will distribute people to my podcast, which has just come out, or it'll go to my blog post as well. At the same time, I'm going to repurpose my blog post into my LinkedIn newsletter, which I've got. I'm also on Substack as well. Not everyone's aware of that platform, but that's a good kind of thought leadership platform where you can write Substack essays. So I will rewrite or repurpose my blog post for Substack as well. So it all comes back to that one piece of anchor content. So rather than creating lots of different pieces of content on lots of different topics and different subject matter, it all goes back to that one piece of content, and then you're repurposing it throughout the week. And the good thing about this, or the best thing to do here, is to try and work at least 1 week ahead of yourself. So the podcast episode I recorded this week is actually going to be released next week. So you try to be 1 week ahead of yourself, so you're not too panicky, on the day in terms of thinking, what should I post today? It's already scheduled in.
And I do the same thing, like we're recording this, having this chat now, and this will probably go out in a couple of weeks. So I as well believe this is useful, not only to prevent burnout, but if you ever get ill or something happens. I talk about having an unpredictable life because I do, but I think everybody has an unpredictable life in one way or another, because there's just things that we're not going to expect. Mine tends to be unpredictable every blooming day, but if something does happen that means you can't then write the blog post, record the podcast and so on, at least you're safe for another week. You've got it down.
Absolutely, yeah. So you're not worrying about it on the day, or your consistency doesn't dip because you're not spinning plates on that day.
Yeah.
Try and work at least a week ahead of yourself.
I do something similar with my content in terms of like just a little bit backwards to the way you do, and then we repurpose and stuff. And actually, it's just dawned on me now how that structure is actually what brings in the calmness, isn't it? When it comes, so that you don't have to hustle. Yeah,
because it goes back to creating a weekly rhythm. Which is what we need. It's a rhythm, a predictable rhythm that you get into. So on the Monday morning or on the Sunday night, and you're thinking, what am I going to do on Monday morning? You already know. You would have done, or I would have helped you, hopefully, do some research in terms of what are the topics and subtopics to write about. And that comes from my SEO background. So there's some strategy there in terms of what we are going to write about. It creates that weekly rhythm, I think. So that's going to stop. It stops people from overthinking what to do this week. You're not going to be chasing trends at all. You're not going to be burning out because, as you say, it's a lot calmer once you've got that system in place.
I love this because I do similar, but also I want to highlight what's really important, because I think sometimes people who are our clients, our audience, might listen to me, and they go, oh, but I don't like doing blogs, or I do my podcast first. They might not like doing podcasts, or whatever that looks like. They might not actually enjoy, but it just goes to show me and you do a similar thing in different ways, and you just lean with what does work for you, don't you? But follow the same kind of rhythm, as you call it. And I think that's what makes it even more so effective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I start off with a blog post. I like writing, so I don't mind writing my blog post at all. I know a lot of people don't like writing. That's fine. So maybe you want to do a podcast instead, or maybe you don't want to do blog writing or a podcast. That's okay. Maybe look at writing a longer Facebook post on a topic. Yeah, so it's just a different format. If you prefer being on Facebook and doing some written captions on there, do that. Or if you prefer to do some reels and actually do some video content, that could be your anchor content. It's got to work for you. But it's the same principle. You still have a particular topic which you're going to talk about that week, because that's what you want to be famous for. You want to be known for these topics. So it's just about finding the right format for you. That's your anchor content, and then just repurpose it into different types of content, including for your email list as well. You can write a nurturing email. I do one on a Friday called Friday Feeling, and that goes back to all the stuff I've been talking about throughout the week on my podcast, on the blog, and then I point my readers on my email list to my blog and to the podcast as well. Yeah, if you like to read about it, here's the link. If you'd rather listen to it during a walk or having a quiet moment, here's the podcast for you.
I love that. And you know what I love even more is how you make it so simple, like with the terminology you use around it. So like energy ceiling, I love when because you just know what that means. Like once you've explained, like you really know. And then the anchor content, like it just helps people focus even more on the thing that they're doing because you've got this great terminology alongside it. And I think it's worth mentioning that you are going to be joining us, aren't you, at Innovation Celebration this year?
I am. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That'll be great to do. I think during that time, I've not defined it yet, but we're just in February. But I'm sure I will talk about calm marketing and anchor tasks, that type of theme in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, definitely, because we did agree, didn't we, that we were going to gear your talk towards what is relevant at the time.
Yeah.
For good reason, because if anyone doesn't know Paul, go give him a follow, go check him out. But basically, you have been a guest for a few of my clients before. We've collaborated a couple of times now, haven't we? And you talk a lot about AI and using that alongside SEO, which is just incredible, is amazing. And the thing is with AI is that actually it's rapidly changing, isn't it? So if we put structure in place now with use of AI, do you think it potentially could change by the time we get to like the end of 2026, for example?
I would definitely. I mean, it's changing all the time, isn't it? The pace of change. I think someone said to me that the other day, the pace of change will never be this slow again, and it's so fast at the moment. So, I think with AI, I'll mention that. Yeah, I kind of retrained myself as well. Kind of last year, I did a CPD in AI innovation, so I'm a certified AI innovator now. So with that, I do kind of have trainings on AI, but I'm not the type of AI person or expert that's going to say here are 10 AI tools to use, because I think that would be overwhelming to people. So I tend to stick to just one or two kind of AI systems, and it's usually things like ChatGPT as well. And you might be thinking, if you're watching or listening, well, Paul's just told us about writing a blog post, doing a podcast script, writing social media forms, writing a Substack essay, having a LinkedIn newsletter. So that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, absolutely, because we want to grow like a digital ecosystem for you. But we definitely use systems like ChatGPT in an intelligent way to create what we call content engines in there. So a content engine can be trained on your topic, it can be trained on your voice, on your tone, on your ideal clients. This is about putting some real strategy into the prompt. So it's not like what you call AI slop, where you just say, well, just kind of prompt and say, give me a Facebook post about mindset kind of thing, and you get a post which is written by a robot about mindset. So this is about really using ChatGPT in more of an advanced way to help you, to assist you with your content production, and I think that helps as well in terms of using AI tools to actually free up your time. Let AI tools, once you know how to use them, do a lot of the heavy lifting, so you can have that freedom, which you talk about, Dani.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I use it for the same reason. I only use ChatGPT and a little bit of the AI in Riverside, which we're recording on right now, because it will chop up this podcast into little snippets. So they use AI, and it's called Magic Clips. But that is all I use. And I have just recreated, actually, and done some SOPs for my team that are better in-depth prompts for ChatGPT, as well as changing my settings on ChatGPT. And it makes such a difference for getting what you put out is what you get in. The other way around, what you put in is what you get out with chat. And it's helped with growth, and I'm seeing results in just a couple of weeks. I was telling you before we recorded this, didn't I, that my YouTube channel has increased. Like, views on videos alone have tripled already in just a matter of weeks, and we're really funneling people through. And there's more than just like ChatGPT. We've done a whole strategy on that. I did research on it, and research is so important. I think people forget how important research is. You mentioned it earlier in terms of like SEO and making sure that your content pillars and the content you're writing is relevant. But again, I did the same for like YouTube, and how I was going to change the structure of what I was doing so that it would grow and get the results I want. And I've done that, but I use ChatGPT as part of it. So I will give it a really good prompt that will take my content and turn it into what I want, but more than just one thing. It will actually spit out a lot at me, but it makes sure that it's in the way that I need it delivered based on my brand. In fact, I've had to just train it because it was getting confused, because I have 2 businesses. So I've had to just train it to understand that this is this business, this is that business, and every time I'm talking to it, I will say, I'm talking about my consultancy right now, I'm talking about my networking business right now, and then it will roll with that. And it's so important to train it, but it does have power. And when I first said about like use of AI and how it rapidly changes, are we on ChatGPT 5 now, like version 5? I think I've only used it for about a year, so that's insane to think that it's evolved that fast, that we're on version 5.
Very much so. I find it very, very helpful, ChatGPT version 5. So I can't imagine what's going to come with, the version 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll see. I think that's being someone who likes technology and kind of naturally interested in it. I think it's exciting to see it change. I think there's a lot of education to be done with entrepreneurs and small businesses as well, with how to use systems like ChatGPT. Just with it doesn't have to be anything techie as well. So it's not about being afraid of AI subject matter. It can feel heavy, but just what we've been talking about, how to create a better prompt to get a better output. It kind of goes back to just adding more context in the prompt, and being really detailed in terms of what you're looking for. And that's a learned skill. So I think there's a lot of education to be done around the world, just on those basics first of all.
Definitely. Before we wrap up, I would love you to share about your lunch and learns that you are starting. So from next week, but when this podcast goes out, the first one will have happened, but you're talking about doing them every month, aren't you? Would you like to share a bit about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, I'm doing 2 lunch and learns. If you're not familiar with lunch and learns, it's not a formal masterclass. It's a 45-minute, 12 UK time, usually on a Thursday in a month. The first one, which is coming up next week, but it'll come up again, obviously, because I'm doing this every month. The first one is about how to get mentioned in ChatGPT. So this is about modern SEO, really. So not being found too much in Google search results, but getting your business mentioned or cited in ChatGPT chats and conversations when someone's chatting and looking for somebody like you or a business like yours. So again, it's nothing technical there. It's very beginner friendly. So that one's coming up in February, and then again in April. And then the other lunch and learn session I'll do, which will be in March, is called Structure Beats Hustle. So that's going to go into a bit more of a deeper detail of what we've been chatting through today. And of course, we've got slides as well, so we'll have some visuals, so maybe you can understand it better sometimes when we've got some visuals behind it as well. So those are the 2 lunch and learns I do. They're completely free as well. You can go to my website, paulculshaw.com. I've got a new events page on there, so you can see details there where you can navigate to both of those lunch and learns, and register, come along for the next one.
Yeah, definitely, highly recommend it. Go follow Paul and check them out. Is there anything else that's happening in your world at the minute that you'd like to share with us?
The other thing I'll share with you is a freebie, if I may. So, in terms of helping out and starting on the Structure Beats Hustle path, I've got a freebie called the Clarity Kickstart. So it's a short PDF freebie here, and it's really for people who feel confused about your business and the direction of the business, and you want to find more clarity in terms of just how to run the business, who the business is for, and just getting some of those basic principles in place so you can go forward. So that's the Clarity Kickstart. Again, you can find that on my website as well at paulculshaw.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I can't wait to see you take stage at Innovation Celebration. And I think I might have to come along to Lunch and Learn and see what that's all about as well. So thank you so much for joining us. If anyone wants to connect with you, we've heard about your website, but where can we find you?
You can also head over to Instagram. So you find me there at Coach Paul Culshaw. I'm on Facebook as well, at LinkedIn. All of the social media platforms. But those are the main ones where you could find me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as always. And I need to do my outro, which I keep forgetting about. So if you've been watching this and you've enjoyed today's episode of the Strategy, Sales and Systems podcast, I'd love for you to take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another business owner who needs to hear this. You'll find links to my own resources and Paul's as well in the description and show notes, and the upcoming events as well, so that they'll all be there for you. And it's all designed to help you simplify your business, strengthen your sales and your strategy, and build systems that support your life and not run it, which is exactly what Paul does as well as me. So you've got a wealth of resources between the both of us, and I hope you've enjoyed the episode. And just remember that it comes from doing the right things in the right way for you, and I'll see you next time.